Welcome back to another sports podcast, everybody. It's exactly what the world needs is another sports podcast. We're the Sweaty Trio. I'm glad to be back in the locker room. Today's guest is someone who's changing the game for anybody who's ever said, I love hockey, but I'm not making it to the show. We're joined by the founder of Working in Hockey, the platform that has helped people actually break into the hockey world off the ice, from front offices to media, scouting, analytics, and everything in between. He's built this thing from the ground up, turned it into a go-to resource for hockey jobs across the industry, and is low-key becoming the plug for anyone trying to work in the sport. Give it up for Nick Bowens. We need to know off rip, is there any chance that we could get jobs in the NHL?
Boys, it's not looking good. It's not looking good.
No, eh?
I appreciate you guys having me on, and honestly, that's the goal with working in hockey is prove that there's a million jobs out there and it's possible for anybody, even me or you, to do it.
Awesome. Before we get into more of the nitty gritty about your account, we just want to ask with everything going on in the Olympics, are you watching? Are you cheering for Canada?
Oh yeah, I've got every game on here, men's,
Me too.
women's, it's all I'm down here in Georgia. My wife's family's got a place, so I've been sitting out in the sun with the outdoor TV on Olympic hockey, and I don't think there's anything better than that.
Very nice.
Legendary.
Yeah, it's been good. But yeah, Canada's looked good. I think the US women's have us beat. I mean, they're stacked. Caroline Harvey is like 23 still in college, and she might be the best women's player of all time already. So Canadian women's are in deep, but the men, I think we're going to bring it home again.
You just can't give Marie-Philippe Poulin too much flack, otherwise she's gonna end up having a hat trick and the game-winning goal or something like that.
Seriously, I know, but dude, like even I feel like she could have five and they're still gonna score like eight on us. I mean, the rivalry series against the US this
Yeah,
year, I think they outscored us like 24-7 or something. Like US hockey is coming, gentlemen. It's not good.
it is. It is.
I was going to ask, in the case where the men's do get, and I think everyone's kind of already settled on it, the US Canada final, who do you got in it? How electric is that game going to be? What does it mean for hockey culture?
It's gonna be awesome. I think we're headed there, like you said, but honestly, I think I would love if Sweden beats them tomorrow as we're recording here.
I
Like
know. Love it.
the US is talking so much shit. Like I live down in New York now with my wife and like I can't go anywhere without hearing it. Like, oh, Hockey Canada's washed, Hockey Canada's over. You guys have Binnington in net, you got Parayko and Sanheim back there. You guys are hearing it, we're all hearing it, but like, man, it would be sweet if they end up in the bronze medal game and we get Sweden or somebody in gold.
Selfishly, you just want the US though. You can't not have Canada US as a gold
I
medal
know.
game.
I know. It would be great. It would be great either way. I mean, I feel good about our squad. How can you not with Crosby, McKinnon, McDavid, Celebrini, etc. But yeah, the USD is nasty. Like that's the one spot where I'm like, okay, they got us there, right? I
Yeah.
mean, Hughes, Werenski, like Slavin's on their third pair. Slavin's the best defensive defenseman ever. Like they're yeah, they're gonna give whoever they play a good run.
Absolutely.
So the last couple of years, I mean, we'll just get into some of the questions here. You've had some pretty significant growth. You're at what, almost 65K in a couple of years. Tell us about your journey about starting the account, the growth of the account, and what kind of inspired you to create working in hockey and how you got there.
Yeah, 100%. So I grew up small town Ontario, Meaford, Thornbury area, if you guys know it there around Blue Mountain. But yeah, always played hockey, loved hockey. I was the hockey nerd with all my buddies that we'd play mini sticks at recess. We'd watch Sports Center in the morning. We'd play Chell after school until we went to practice. Like hockey is all you do in small town Ontario, unless you want to do like curling or something else. But I mean, hockey's what everybody does, right? So I just always grew up loving the game. Realized, like you guys said, it wasn't going to play in the NHL. So tried to find different ways to be involved. I did a couple internships with OHL teams and some hockey media companies while I was at the University of Waterloo for sports business. And then, thought I'd end up working in the OHL. Graduated right as COVID hit. So hard to work in junior hockey or the OHL when they're not playing hockey. Got a couple more normal jobs, but always kind of continued doing hockey stuff on the side. So I worked for a brand called Triple Deke. JT Barnett ran it. His dad, Mike Barnett, was Gretzky, Yager, Lemieux, etc.'s agent. So he was like well tapped in and got us a lot of like content opportunities during COVID. So that was like my first kind of foray into hockey media or hockey content. From there, I ran Hockey Collective with my buddy Pat. He'd started it before, brought me on, and we were, 50-50 owners of Hockey Collective there. Got it to about 500,000 followers on Instagram. And again, all the while I was working normal day jobs, desk jobs, and then kind of got to a point where I was like kind of tired of posting highlights and stuff. And like, I love talking hockey. I love hopping on here and shooting the shit with you guys, but like posting my 18th score graphic of the week like wasn't fun anymore. So I was like, how can I kind of bridge my business and hiring and operations knowledge from my day jobs and my love for hockey? And kind of just kept hearing from everybody that I went to school with, younger siblings, cousins, whatever, that it's so hard to find jobs in the industry. There's so many job boards. When you finally do find a role, by the time you polish up your resume the next day, the role is taken down or already closed, and it's just kind of a free for all. Teamwork Online is obviously a fabulous website for every league, every sport. They do a phenomenal job, but beyond that, it's kind of a shit show to find jobs in the game. So, again, kind of just combine my business knowledge and interest with my love of the game, and yeah, kind of grew from there. So it's coming up on 2 years of working in hockey, existing, and it got a lot more traction than I ever thought. I mean, I thought if I could help 5, 10 people find their way into the industry and get a couple thousand followers to do some fun posts and go to games, I'd be happy. And it's snowballed into a lot more than I ever imagined, for sure.
So you kind of touched on how you built up a little bit of this network, and I don't want you to give away any trade secrets, of course, but if you have any advice, do you have kind of a journey or some sort of strategies that you do to build such a big network as you have?
Yeah, 100%. I think the couple things. There's a lot more good people in our industry than bad people. Like if you reach out to somebody with a well thought out, personable message, I believe that 8 out of 10 of those people are going to get back to you, especially if you have somebody mutual on your network, whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever it may be. If there's somebody mutual that they can see, you know what, Taylor knows this guy, like he must be somewhat normal. Maybe he's on the Sweaty Trio show. Let's check it out. Who is this guy? Hop in. I think majority of people will get back to you. Now, I get a lot of pushback on that on the page because people are like, "Oh, I reach out to XYZ and they never get back to me." Okay, well, sometimes the problem is you. Sometimes it's how you're messaging and framing it. And to me, I mean, I get dozens, if not hundreds of messages a day right now, and so many of them are, "Hey, can we get on a quick call? Hey, can we connect?" If you just say that, like I'm not going to connect. Like you got to give me a reason, you got to give me a why, a time, a what you're interested in, a mutual connection, like I say, and then 100%. I hop on calls every single day talking to people, trying to help people, right? But you got to give people a purpose, especially busy people in the sports industry. There's games every night. They're running around to minor league stadiums. They're selling tickets on a Sunday, like whatever it is, they are busy 24/7. So you reach out, you give them a thoughtful, purpose-driven message as to why you want to connect and what you want to learn from them. And then beyond that, I think being at events, being boots on the ground is so important. I mean, it doesn't matter what level, what rink, what town. If you are in the rink, you are going to meet people who can then help you and can help build that network. Like I say, I'm down here in Georgia right now. I reached out to the Savannah Ghost Pirates last week and I was like, "Hey, I'm like an hour from Savannah, never been to an ECHL game. Can I come?" They say, "Yep, 100%. Here's your media pass, your credential." I'm walking around the tunnels, dapping up the guys in the dressing room, chatting with the equipment managers,
Nice.
come up, stand upstairs, look over to my right, realize I'm standing beside the Habs GM, Kent Hughes. And it's like talk with him for 15 minutes and like the list goes on, right? That this was a completely random ECHL game in Savannah. I thought I was just going to have fun, but case in point, you're in the building, you meet people, you build those connections. They go, "Hey, I've seen that hat on social clips," or "Hey, what do you do? Like, why are you in the dressing room right now? What's going on?" Whatever it is, right? So being boots on the ground, not saying you're going to run into an NHL GM every time, but just getting in the arena, being at these in-person events, that's when the money is made. That's when real connections happen, in my opinion.
Taylor and myself have somewhat a little bit of experience in the sports industry. Taylor worked for OUA. We both went to Humber for sport management. I do
Yep.
somewhat still. I do tournament coordinating for Canlan. For fresh university college graduates of any sports program, do you think there's anything big that they need to have apart from, the right network connections and knowing the right people?
Any sports experience to put on your resume. That can be Canlan, like you said, that can be working with the school at Humber there. That can be, doing game day stuff for the volleyball team or helping drive players to the curling match. Whatever it is, like getting some sports reference that you can put on your resume is the most important thing. Sports are transferable. Every sport is transferable. Some of the smartest and best people in our game came up in soccer or came up in baseball or whatever it is. Sports are transferable. The skill sets are transferable. The single most important thing to getting a job in any sport is getting that first job. And it doesn't
Right.
matter if it's a ticket taker at the ECHL level, somebody that can get you a part-time job at the NHL level, whatever it is, getting that first job is so important. And I mean, on the Working in Hockey podcast, I think we're at 6 episodes in a row now where the guest had a part-time random ass job, and that's what led to their career. Like
Nice.
most recently was the Penn State PA announcer. He was like a game day operations, handing out tickets and selling programs. And then they said, "Hey, our PA guy just bailed. Does anybody, have interest in doing this?" And he said, "Yep, I'll give it a shot. I got a good voice. My cousin does radio," or whatever his story was. And now 25 years later, he's still there calling games for them.
Oh,
Like
very
the
nice.
single most important thing is just getting that first experience, whatever level possible, by whatever means possible, get that first thing, right?
What is your process for scouring the internet for these jobs? Like, are teams and leagues and companies reaching out to you? Like, how is this working?
Yeah, good question. So the early days, the first couple newsletters, of course, were me scouring the internet and kind of reaching out to people, being like, "Hey, I'm doing this. If you have anything, shoot me a message." And now I'd say, for the past year or so, it's about 50% coming to me and 50% I'm finding them. So I mean, my laptop here is a mess. I've got about 80 bookmarks on the left side that I just boom, 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 check them all like 2 or 3 times a week to see what's opening up. As I've built my network, I've got people at pretty well every team, company, etc. in hockey. Not all of them come to me right away, but if I see them post on LinkedIn or if, I see their job pop open, I'll be like, "Hey, Michael, is this role legit? When's it opening? When's it closing? Like, would love to elevate that or share that for you." So right now it's about 50-50, have good relationships with a lot of the teams that they'll say, don't really need your help on this role, but put it out there. Let's see if we can get any different eyeballs that we wouldn't have otherwise. Or they'll come and be like, "Hey, man, this role's been open for 3 months. I don't have anybody qualified yet. Like, can you please, recycle this one, get it up there. Let's see what we can find." So it's been cool to see from that lens and try to understand which roles are getting a ton of applicants for teams and which ones they're like, "Oh shit, we're gonna be looking for this for a while."
I think it's fair to say the main goal of any business is to make money. But apart from that, are you noticing any common trends with certain teams, whether it's in marketing or sales or finance, in terms of kind of getting that next step and getting your foot in that door?
Yeah, good question. I'd say I was actually having this conversation on a podcast earlier today. I really think since COVID, the creative side of pro teams has just skyrocketed, and like that's the in-arena game presentation, what's on the video board, the score graphics they're making, the videos they're posting after. Obviously, we all know social media has blown up, and there's way more behind the scenes TikToks and content and everything. But for me personally, like when you go to MSG is obviously one of my favorites, or Capital One in Washington, like the quality of game presentation and video that they're putting out, like all the lights and cameras down on the ice, like the holographics that they're rocking out before pregame, like they have the mascots doing like interactive stuff where when they stab the ice, there's something takes over the ice and a different sound. Like the in-arena presentation has just skyrocketed since COVID, and I think a lot of roles right now are involved in that, whether that's more on the creative and kind of video production side, or if it's just adding 2 or 3 more game ops or game night staff to be able to facilitate those. That's really an area for me that, as a fan, that has blown up, and now looking on the business side, it's like, okay, look at all these new roles it's kind of opening up too.
Yeah, to add to that, I think like I'll never forget the Golden Knights, their first stadium game when they, like you said, the flag in the middle and they had the huge like light show on the ice. And
Yeah.
same thing with the Kraken when the ice was cracking and the octopus was coming out. And like, it's so cool. It's going to be a moment that is going to ripple through hockey culture forever. People are going to come back to that and be like, the first game in Vegas Stadium, the first game in, missing Seattle Stadium.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But that actually pulls me into the next question. Do we think that hockey media is dying or is it just going through a rebrand? And we often bring up this conversation when we interview hockey personalities and media guys where the barrier between the personality from a hockey athlete versus who they actually are behind the ice or behind the locker room, it never translates. And as you're saying, all this creativity is coming out and it's becoming bolstered in the hockey community. Do you think that's going to help with a rebrand of hockey culture and hockey media?
Yeah, I honestly think we've taken a lot of strides in that regard, and it's sometimes hard to tell when you're in the moment, right? Like I think sometimes we go, oh, there's so many dinosaurs and this, we aren't progressing and it's hard to get good coverage and these guys ask the same questions and all those things. But I think if we like step back a little bit and even look at again, use kind of COVID as a time frame there. If we look at like 2018, 2019, I don't think anybody's doing what William Nylander's doing, posting YouTube
Yeah.
videos. I don't think these guys are wearing the things into the game that they are now. I don't think the game presentation or the in-game interviews, the mic'd up, any of that is what it was 5 years ago. So I do think we're growing a lot there, and I think there's honestly like a lot of youth and fresh air in hockey media. I know you guys had my good buddy Johnny Lazarus on here. Like he's a prime example to me of like that's a guy who grinded his ass off online, built a name for himself, and now you look at his Instagram story, he's in a different state, in a different arena every single weekend covering the game for whether it's NHL, college, USHL, like he is covering the entire map of the US because teams want that fresh perspective. And it's a fun, lighthearted approach that he takes to a lot of the interviews, but he also knows his shit, right? So there's kind of a blend there. And I think that's something that, listen, there's a lot of great announcers that are 50, 60 plus years old, but they're just a different perspective than Johnny or somebody our age or whoever it may be. So finding the guys that can bridge that gap and kind of be in the middle, like a TNT broadcast, or even some of the guys at ESPN do a fabulous job of serious when you need to be, have fun when you can. I think that's the spot that everybody's trying to find.
Do you ever find that there's a difference between hockey culture and hockey media versus in the US versus Canada?
It's a good question. I think not a ton. I haven't been around a lot of youth hockey here in the US, like mostly college and junior teams and obviously pro teams. But I think Canadian hockey culture has taken a turn more towards US hockey, where it's a little bit more expensive and a little bit more privatized and a
Oh yeah.
little bit more pure skills focused. And that's something that I think 5, 10 years ago we thought about the US. And now in Canada, we're kind of catching up to that, right? Where it's $500 an hour for ice, and there's all these individual outlaw leagues and skills camps and all this different stuff happening. So I do think it's more similar than it is different. Obviously, the CHL and college landscape is going to play a factor on that too. But overall, I'd say North American hockey is more skilled than it's ever been, and that's a good problem to have. So even if there's hiccups, even if there's, disputes between the USHL and CHL and NCAA, like I still think we're going to end up in a pretty good spot here in the next couple years with hockey culture, hockey skill level, and kind of the paths to get to the pro game.
I've seen you do a bunch of networking events. I saw you were in Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago, Long Island a few weeks ago. Are you doing one in Toronto coming up? Like, what's that look like?
We are. I will fill you guys in after this because I can't say it publicly, but before we hang up the Zoom, we got a big one in Toronto coming.
Cool.
Cool.
Awesome.
That's good to know. You might be hearing from one of us at least.
All three of you better be there.
100%
Absolutely.
will be there. We'll be posting content of it.
Oh, 100%. We kind of touched on your podcast a little bit, but you had some big names on. We like Steve Dangle. You mentioned your boy Johnny Lazarus, who we had on, Dan and Chris Powers, who I absolutely love, and I know these guys like them as well. Kind of walk us through your experience with them. I know they probably touched on their careers and how they built up their brand a little bit. Just touch on that a little bit more.
Yeah, 100%. Dan and Chris are awesome. And funny enough, they had like reached out to Hockey Collective when they were first starting Empty Netters and wanted to do some collabs then. And we did like some silly video series together and stuff before they popped off. And then obviously no credit to me, but they popped off because they're like, I'm sure everybody knows one or two people that like no matter where they are or what's happening, like people gravitate towards them and things happen to them. And that's Dan and Chris. They'll get dragged to whatever party is happening, whatever event. NHL guys gravitate towards them. Like they're just fun-loving people that can command a room and people gravitate towards them. So it is no surprise to me at all that they have taken off the way that they have. Their content is awesome. It's a fresh perspective. It's very humor based and lighthearted. So they're script writers outside of Empty Netters. They write hockey scripts, they write movie scripts, whatever it is. These guys are very clever. They're very calculated. Everything that they're doing is for a reason, and they know their shit. So yeah, super happy for those guys. Steve Dangle, obviously a fabulous career in and of himself, and like we said with Laz, him as well.
Is there anything you've learned from interviewing people in the hockey industry that's surprised you? Like any guests that have changed how you view working in hockey? And that's just a play on the brand, I guess, there too.
Yeah, yeah. That's a really good question. I don't think anything's really changed my opinion on it. I think more than anything, it reaffirms or vindicates like a lot of my kind of core beliefs and what I try to pitch through the game. Like we said, most people will answer you if you get back. Build your network. Like that's one. The people who work their asses off will get the furthest. That's another one that like just comes up through all these calls. I recorded today with a sales guy from the St. Louis Blues who's been the highest selling sales guy for the Blues all of the 7 seasons that he's been there. Like that's not an accident. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's these people work their ass off and it shows. So that is vindicated through it. And more than anything, the hockey world is a small one. Like I think, I'm at 65 episodes now on the podcast. Every single one of them is connected to another in some way or another, right? They all know each other. We find each other like you and I did here. Like it's the hockey world is small. Everybody sees it. So that can be good and bad, but it's a small world.
You mentioned you had a quick conversation with Kent Hughes, which I'm sure wasn't super formal, but do you find there's any major differences between interviewing hockey execs versus media personalities?
Hockey execs are just pretty buttoned up, right? And they're all great guys and they all like talking shop and talking hockey and they're fans at heart like we all are, right? So you get guys alone or at a restaurant or bar or whatever and they'll spill some beans, tell you some stories. Like they're all fun, great guys. But when it comes to the, public side of things, like they don't like to show their cards a lot, right? And totally understandably so. The media guys or online or social, etc., like their businesses, their reputations are built off what they put out publicly. So again, they know a little bit more of what they're getting into and what they can or want to share. Again, hockey executives, behind the scenes, scouts, coaches, etc., all fabulous people. They don't always love coming on a podcast with me or you and chopping it up.
The three of us unanimously agree that our dream guest is Jameis Winston.
Mm,
Just his personality, he's so electric. He's just fucking awesome.
what
Do
is it,
you,
this?
yeah, that's a W. Do you have one? Do you have a dream guest, whether it's a president of a hockey team, Gary Bettman, whoever that might be, that you would love to have on your pod?
That's a great question. Um, Jeff Merrick is up there. I've been texting with him for about 6 months to lock in a time, and both of us are just busy at the wrong time. So we'll get that one done at some point. Jessica Campbell's up there too, because I think that's an awesome story, and I think she is such a smart hockey mind, by all accounts, and the brief conversations that I've had with her, that would be a great one. Um, it's a great question. I mean, is it crazy to say Wayne? Like that'd be pretty
No,
cool.
Oh,
not
not
at
at all.
all.
Like that guy technically works in hockey now, right? So I think I think that older age of players is just so cool. Like how different of a game it was, the stories they have, and like you hear him on TNT or when he goes on Chicklets, and like the life that they lived is so different, but
Yeah.
like just so damn good at hockey.
We recently had Matthew Barnaby on the podcast, and he was talking about like the goon era and like the enforcer, and like today's age, you can't really play if you can't skate. Like you need to
Yeah.
hit a certain a mile per hour. You need to have a decent shot. You need to at least be like fantastically defensively. So it's really interesting to hear you say that. We love like the old age of hockey.
Yeah, I mean that's what you guys grew up with. That's what I grew up with. Like I think that stuff's so fun. Like Pronger's been doing a lot of media lately.
Yeah.
Like the generation of like him, Niedermeyer, Sakic, Iserman, like that's what I loved as a kid. And like just all those guys are like now crushing it on the business or hockey ops side. It's so cool.
It's always nice to see them because I feel like a stereotype, at least among hockey players, is like the lack of personality, sort of like we touched on, like those intermission interviews. It's like, oh, you guys are losing. What can you do better? Blah, blah, blah. And like, now we have Biz, who wasn't the best NHL player, but he still had a pro career. Even seeing Hank on the TNT panel is like, he's always a
So
funny
cool.
guy and one of the best personalities on there, I think, personally.
It's so cool. And, Oshi's doing a lot for the Olympics, which is obviously so cool from TJ Sochi. And I mean the Avengers panel that we've got in Canada there. Like they're doing a great job of showcasing personality. And I think it's only going to continue to increase and develop as guys like Patrick Sharp and TJ Oshie. And I mean, I'd say Subban's already pretty comfortable with himself up there, but like Sharp and Oshie, they're continuing to get their reps and get out there. Like I think as we talked to BX is phenomenal. Like he might
Yeah.
be my favorite. BX
Yeah.
and MJ, like those guys are awesome. So I think they're kind of setting the tone and the blueprint now for guys who retire and want to get into that side. And like we say, there's so many characters in our game that I think we're going to get some good ones.
So we know you have a newsletter. I want to ask, was it harder for you to get your newsletter to have a consistent audience, or was it harder for your podcast, which you're still working on? I'm sure you're working on both.
Podcast for sure.
Yeah.
Podcast for sure because it's a lot more competitive. The newsletter, a little behind baseball. Like the newsletter is really the bread and butter of working in hockey because it's taking something that already exists, a job board, and putting it on a different channel or a different platform, right? If I think we're at about 17,000 subscribers on the newsletter right now, which I mean that fills up an NHL arena. I'm very happy with that number. If that's on a website, 17,000 views really isn't that crazy, right? Even if they're coming in multiple times or whatever. But to put that in a newsletter, that's a fabulous number. That's a lot more engagement than most people get. I think our open rate is about 75% and our click rate is about 30%. Industry average for those across all email newsletters is about 20% and 5%. So it's 3 to 6x what people normally get on newsletters. A, because it's free. B, because it's once a week. I'm not bombarding you. And C, because it's helpful. You don't have to go look at all those different job boards. I'm coming to you once a week with the information. So for me, the newsletter was like always the core of this. Again, I know I'm really good at Instagram and LinkedIn and those different platforms that I've done before. So the newsletter was like, okay, if the newsletter works, we get engagement there, everything else will fall into place because we're taking again things that already exist and putting it in an easier channel for people to absorb.
Is it every Monday that the newsletter comes out?
Yeah, exactly. So it's just once a week to keep it easy for you. You know when it's coming, you know when you should have your resume ready and be ready to act quick when you see these jobs come in, right?
I mean, it's nice to see. Like, I still have my 9 to 5 office job, which I love. But getting that email, working in hockey, St. Louis Blues social media coordinator, just like as
Yeah.
an example, it's always cool seeing that stuff.
100%. And honestly, that's the biggest feedback that I've gotten. And it's, no credit to me, but the biggest feedback is like, hey, it's just cool to see what's out there.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
there's hundreds of people that have fabulous jobs around the league that the four of us would kill for that subscribe to the newsletter because they're like, I just want to know what's out there. Like it's pretty awesome that this XYZ role is open, right?
For
So,
sure, for sure.
every week somebody from a team or league reaches out that I had no idea subscribed and they're like, hey, this is cool. Like this role's coming up too, or I might apply for that one or whatever it is. So, it's definitely cool. Like people just want to see what's out there, right? I mean, again, it's digestible because I'm not, you don't have to go find the jobs,
Exactly.
right? If you had
Yeah.
to go check the Leafs job board every day, it gets a little tiresome. But if it comes to you once a week and you see a Leafs opening, you're like, oh, that's neat.
So what's next for working in hockey and Nick? I mean, you're building a good fan base or following base, I think is probably the better word. The networking events seem like I mean, they're selling out. They seem like they're doing well. The podcast is going. Are you building a team? Like, what's that looking like for you for your next, what's the next move for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good question. Still figuring it out, but I think the events are a big piece for me because I just love watching hockey. You guys just love watching hockey, and we all like watching sports, right? We like meeting people, and the networking events are a good way to do that. I personally don't really like career fairs because I find them pretty like transactional, and you give your resume, they don't bother asking your name, and then you go to the next table and do the same thing and the same thing and the same thing. Whereas a networking event, so the ones that we've done, New Jersey, Pittsburgh, and then we have the Islanders next month, they're like 80 to 100 people. One in every three typically works in the industry, and then the other two out of three are, working in youth sports or college sports and trying to get into the industry full time. And we go and we hang out in a room for a couple hours pregame, and then we all watch the game together. It's a super casual, interactive way to meet A, people that are already in the industry, and B, people that are in the same boat as you. And like that's harder to sell, but when you're there and you're meeting those people, it's really a relief to hear that other people are in the same spot as you or running into the same hiccups or working on their resume or whatever it is. So those have been awesome. I mean, we've had people come from again, obviously New Jersey, Pittsburgh, and the Islanders, but we've had people from Canada for each one. We've had people from the West Coast. We've had people from all the way down in Florida and Texas come up for these, and like they're all making friends. They're all making connections. We've had a number of people get hired through it. We've had a number of people go out to the bar and hang out afterwards. We've had a bunch of people like buy their tickets together to the next one. So for me, again, kind of coming full circle to what we very first talked about, like the in-person events are really special and where you build real connections. Real connections can be made online too, but it's sometimes easier in person. So the events are really that next step for me, and I'm excited for that Toronto one.
Yeah,
I
I'd
think
love
that's
to.
a go ahead, Us.
Sorry, I was gonna jump in and say like even with the events, like not to get too much into like the psychology or like the politics of everything, but AI and like the digital renaissance is becoming like such a huge thing where people are cooped up inside because they can get everything they want without leaving their room or leaving their house.
100%.
And so having these in-person events, it's going to continue. One, people are going to be motivated to go out and meet people and find like-minded people, but it also gets people back into the habits of speaking with other people, meeting new people, building relationships.
100%. Like you said, it's not to get psychological on it, but like, once you get out of school, if you don't love your job or you move away from home, it can be hard for a lot of people to make friends, make connections, and gain your network, right? So if you're in a new city and there's an event there where there's 100 fellow hockey fans coming to hang out, like, seems like a pretty damn good time to me.
Yeah, I'm right. Michael, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say when we were talking about the networking events and kind of how you build it, you just go out after the bar, just go watch a game. I feel like that also kind of takes the pressure off, as some people might get a little bit tense when they're handing people their resume at the job fairs, and sometimes they're a little bit dull, so their personality kind of doesn't make a good, strong first impression. So I think that's a great way of doing it.
100%. Yeah, that's exactly is it's not transactional, it's not forced. You can talk to anybody you want. You can, people have their name tags on. Some people wear their team sweaters and stuff when they come in, so it's them. Or with the Islanders, I think we're gonna have about so I say about 30 out of the 100 people will be working in the industry. We have an additional about 20 people who work for the Islanders who will stop by through the night. So you see them come in and you give them a business card quick, shake their hand, get to know them like that. It takes the transactional out of it when people
Right.
are all kind of just there mingling in a room. Nobody's standing up on a podium or behind a booth, like counting resumes that come in. Like it's just casual. It's people with people, and that's what we all crave.
Nick, man, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to impart so much wisdom on us. This was an unbelievable conversation. Take this opportunity to tell the people where they can find you and what you're working on.
Absolutely. Well, I hope there was some wisdom in there, but I'm pretty simple, gentlemen. It's at Working in Hockey on every platform. It's workinginhockey.com. It's the Working in Hockey podcast. Went with just about as simple of name as possible. So should be easy to find. And yeah, appreciate you fellas having me on here to chop it up.
Thank you so much, Nick. At the end of every episode, we get a salute and a stay sweaty. Can we get a stay sweaty salute from you?
Stay sweaty, gentlemen.
Stay
Stay
sweaty, boys.
sweaty.